Okay, well, ladies and gentlemen, it is now 1 o'clock Eastern Time, so let's begin. It's great to see all of you. This is a Zoom meeting. I'm sure you're all experienced yet with the setup. If you haven't gone through that experience, we are going to ask each participant to turn off their video screens to make it easier to see the interpreters and presenters. If you have something that you want to discuss, comment, or question, just turn back on your video, make that comment and question, and then turn back off. So we'll be popping in and out of this Zoom meeting so that everything is clear. All right, thank you very much. It is now my pleasure to introduce your presenter for today, Patricia Schoenfeld. She is our Director of Human Resources at the American School for the Deaf. She previously worked at Lexington School for the Deaf in the HR department there. While I used to work at Lexington, wow, it's been a long time. Years have passed, but she is very, very knowledgeable and has in-depth experience with human resources and the various topics related to HR, especially with the COVID-19 situation popping up. She does have some valuable input on that. So this is your platform to have an open discussion and information sharing for any information related to HR and COVID-19. Enjoy yourselves, and Patricia, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Jeff. So when Jeff asked me to present, he said, I said, well, what would you like me to present on? He said, oh, just COVID-19. And I thought, oh, wow, that's quite a topic because there's so much. So what I did was I did a little PowerPoint I'm going to share with you. Hold on one sec. I'm still learning too. Okay, so because there's so much information revolving around COVID-19 and all the changes that have been coming and going and coming and guidance, I did a thinking map. So I think some of you are familiar with thinking maps. I don't know if you use them in the schools, but we had done a training a couple of years ago, and one of Jeff's goals was to try to get his administrative offices to get involved in using them. And in HR, you know, we haven't had an opportunity to use them that often. But this time around, I thought, wow, how do I get all of my thoughts together on this huge topic? So I started by just throwing things in, and please feel free to jump in if you think I should add something or something more we need to discuss. So I started this way to say, okay, well, you know, what is involved in discussing and talking about COVID-19? How does it relate to HR? How does it relate to an organization in general? From there, we pared it down to a tree map to say, you know, each section, how do we handle this? Because it's such a huge issue. So, and I'll talk about what we do here at ASD, and then maybe you can share what you are all doing. So the first thing that we did when COVID came up was we started a steering committee. And that steering committee consisted of the executive leadership team and our academic team, IT, and security, and our student health center, which was the critical piece. So we met every day, 7 days a week, to discuss staffing, the students, what are we doing with the buildings, how are we cleaning, how do we handle our programs. So because we're a 24/7 and we are also a residential treatment center, we had students still on campus. So how do we work around that? So I don't know if any of you still have students on campus, but what we did with the guidance of CDC and Department of Public Health was we set up dormitories. We designated dormitories, an isolation dorm, quarantine dorms, and our regular dorms. And we immediately added an infectious disease policy, and just to have something that staff can refer to and something for the future. Because when this is all said and done, Our emergency manuals are going to change. Everything's going to change because of COVID. We immediately banned visitors from campus. Students were quarantined when they came back from out of state. Jeff did vlogs daily for the first almost 4 weeks. We did all staff emails every day. We updated on the state of Connecticut. We updated on how our students were doing, our staff, if anybody was not feeling well. We have been very lucky. We have had no students with any COVID-19 related symptoms or positive cases with our students. So we've been very lucky. We have a weekly internal newsletter that goes out every week where we are keep track of our students and our staff, and we give them kudos and thank yous, and just to stay in touch. So what does our Student Health Center do? Our Student Health Center continuously stays in contact with Department of Public Health and the Center for Disease Control, and she revises the procedures and the protocols. So in the beginning, when masks weren't necessary, she would let us know, no masks, not necessary. When it became necessary, she had bandanas, cloth masks. So she would write protocols with us in HR. We would make sure they got disseminated to the staff. Jeff would then put them in an all-staff email and a vlog. And then we set up electronic monitoring. So anybody who comes to campus has to fill out a form on our website that asks questions like, have you been out of state? Do you have any symptoms? Does anybody in your house have any symptoms? And once you submit that, then you are allowed to come to campus to the Student Health Center, where you have a temperature check. And if your temperature is under 100, you're allowed to enter campus. Right now, it's been working very well for us, and all of our staff know. We have visitors, vendors who come in. They all do it. Everybody does it. Our campus is cleaned daily. We have a custodial company. They clean all of the buildings every day, whether the buildings are empty or not. We have 24/7 security that makes sure that we are safe, and we have our plant operations crew that comes in to make sure that everybody has what they need. And as I mentioned, we have our dormitories. Does anybody else have dormitories that with kids? I guess not. So I guess everybody's familiar with FFCRA.
I'm sorry, this is Barbara Bonzel, and we do have residential. I work at the Missouri School for the Deaf, but our students were sent home.
Oh, they were?
Yes.
Oh, do you know when, is there a timeline of when they're coming back, or?
Not yet. We're hoping for the fall, the normal return.
Yeah, well, I hope so. Yeah, I think because of our PACES program, that was one of our main factors of why we still have our students. Our core program are not back. The dorms are closed for the core program. So our staff, we followed obviously with the stimulus packages, the emergency paid sick leave. So what we did was we developed an electronic form on our website. So anybody who felt that they were not feeling well, or that their children's school closed, and they needed emergency paid sick leave, we had a form, they filled it out. We took care of it that way. When it's a very smooth operation, works very well. With family leave, the one thing that I think confused our staff, which is very important, is that really the expanded family medical leave is really the only difference is it's if you have to take care of a child whose school is closed. So any other reason that somebody applies for FMLA is really your policy's FMLA. It's not the expanded. And so we've had some confusion there, but again, we're getting there. And it's our policy when you're on regular FMLAs, we actually ask you to use your sick days and vacation if you have it. But right now, I would say we probably have about 8 to 10 staff who are taking advantage of the sick leave and the expanded family medical leave. The CARES Act for unemployment, I put that in because I don't know if there have been any layoffs in any of your schools. We have not had any. We've been lucky and we've had no layoffs, so we haven't had to look at unemployment benefits. But it's good to know, just in case. You never know what could happen. So with your benefit plan, your 403Bs, this is what we did here at ASD. It's a really good time to take a really in-depth look at your plans. Any changes you need to make, any amendments that you might need, and we did that. And we had just some small changes, but it was a best practice. And then we added all of the changes that the government had recommended, that the IRS recommended, by waiving the 10% penalty for distributions that were COVID related. The loans that were up to $50,000 have now been increased to $100,000. We added that. We added the loan repayment due dates have been extended and postponed, and the required minimum distributions were waived. So we added that to our plan as an amendment to the plan, just to make sure that we were in compliance with the IRS. So those are all the legal, pretty much the legal guidelines that we've been following. Then what I think is one of the most important roles of HR is employee wellness. So we had for a while been working on our culture in the school as part of our strategic initiative over the next 3 years. And it was very important to us to build a culture of transparency, communication. However, when COVID hit, everything blew up. People work from home, people are working on campus. So after a few weeks, what we did was an employee wellness check, a survey. We sent it to all the staff just to see, how are you doing? Are you feeling supported? Do you feel safe? How are you personally doing? We sent it to 300 staff. We got about 200 responses. I think that it was really important because there were a few points where we thought, well, we could do a little better. And for the most part, about 80 to 90% were happy with the communications that were coming from Jeff and his executive leadership team, the amount of transparency. They were pleased. So it's really a good idea. If you haven't, even if everybody's working from home, it's not a bad idea to send a quick survey to see how everybody is. Do they have the tools they need? Are they maintaining a work balance? We've been very flexible with our hours for our staff that work from home. We understand teachers cannot work, 8 to 3:15. So, they flex a little bit. Our administrative assistants, we flex their hours. We're trying to work with everybody because they also have children at home that they have to help teach and get through this. We did a staff appreciation last week. I don't know if Jeff is here or not, or if he's in his other meeting. It was really great. What we did, I'm going to show you. So cute. This is a little bag, and it says thank you, and it was drawn by our students. So our students drew on these paper bags, and then we put little things, candy and little gift cards. And then we wrote handwritten thank you notes. The executive leadership team wrote to every single staff member. We each took a group. And it went a long way to letting, the staff, the responses that we're getting. It was, it was a little bag of candy, a few chocolates, a little marker, but they felt so valued, and it was great. And so if you haven't done something like that, it's a lot of fun. I think everybody enjoyed it. Our administrative assistants came in, helped me put the bags together. We had our drivers deliver, almost 200 bags. It was quite a team effort. The other thing is, I don't know if you have people on campus, our essential employees, they like to see you. So if you can come in, I'm in the office today. We try to come in, Jeff's team, maybe each of us, maybe once a week, just so in case anybody needs anything and they see that we're on campus. It's important. The other thing that we try to do is maintain our traditions. So every year we had employee recognition, and we recognize 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 years. So this year we did it via Zoom. So we invited 44 of our staff members to Zoom. We had a PowerPoint prepared for Jeff for each of those years with some tidbits and news. And we took, our IT person took pictures, and it'll go in our weekly news. So that's what we're doing. I don't know if anybody else has any ideas of what they're, or want to share what they're doing, but I think it goes a long way. So, okay. Operations. Again, we have a third of our staff are on campus. What we do now with our hiring, we are still hiring for residential counselors to work in our dorms. Our interviews and our new hire orientations we are doing through Zoom. Our mandated trainings are all online now. We are working with Relias to get everything online. Our background checks are delayed, but we're still doing them. The only thing we cannot do is fingerprinting because they don't have fingerprinting right now. So our staff, we have our essential staff who are on campus. Those are our direct service providers to our students. They're called residential counselors. We have our custodial service, food services, plan ops. And our non-essential staff, which is a word we really, we wish we could think of a better word. Those are our teachers, our teacher assistants, admin assistants, ELT. So we work remotely. We're doing our open enrollment solely through Zoom this year. My benefits and specialist has set up meetings and with interpreters and changes, questions, comments, anything you need is done through open enrollment via Zoom now, because we're not at that point yet, so we can't get together. So we're looking forward to that. That should start in a week or so. That is my PowerPoint. I don't know. I think that this has been a very different kind of end to the year. But I think in our school, we've all come together. So I don't know. I'd be interested to see how everybody else is doing. I'm back.
Well, for the Missouri School for the Deaf, I think we're pretty much following the same kind of guidelines that you have been talking about. We do a weekly survey to all our staff. We also follow it up with our EAP program, which is counseling and different services for the COVID, which a lot of things have been added with our health insurance. So they've been supporting us with information to give to staff as well. The only thing we're working on now is when we return and how we return. So it was good to hear that you do a questionnaire first, temperature. I think we're going to be requiring masks. The only scary part about being in a deaf school in a state is you have students coming from all over the state where COVID is either higher in numbers of those who have contracted it or lower. So a lot has to be taken into consideration.
Absolutely. And we did that with our PACE students. What we did was some had gone home right before the spring break. And when that happened, excuse me, they were from New York. And at that time, New York was a hotspot. So that's when we decided to set up quarantine dorms. And so when they came back, they went to the quarantine dorm, meals were delivered, Our staff, we selected particular staff for the shifts. So they were the same staff that worked in that dorm. They only went to that dorm. So meals were delivered. They did their lessons there for 2 weeks. And they were checked every day. And at the end of the 2 weeks, they went back into the regular dorms. So I imagine we're definitely going to keep that going, probably through the summer as well. We don't know. We haven't gotten any real guidance on extended summer. So we don't know. We don't know if there's going to be an extended school year. I'm sorry. Yeah, I guess nobody knows. So, but I can tell you, and if I can send it to you, I will. The electronic monitoring form that we use, we do it through Google Docs, and I'd be happy to send that to you if you want to use it. It's a great little thing because I did it this morning. I get up, I get ready to come to work, I pull it up, I answer the questions. It immediately goes to the Student Health Center. Then when I arrive, it's there already. They come in, they check my temp, and I'm good to go. We do that with every single staff. So it's a good practice now because when school starts in the fall, we're gonna have more people. So, you know,
I would like to have that
for us.
Yeah, I'd like to have that.
Sure. And the FMLA and the emergency paid sick leave, that's going through to the end of the year.
Right.
So, I mean, in my case, and I don't know about you, but in my case, a lot of our staff have used it already.
Ours, one person.
Yeah. So when we start in the fall, you know, they're not going to have that much time. So I'm hoping that they monitor, you know, carefully. But it's a nice benefit for staff. Yeah. We also have, we work under the Department of Children and Families. And recently they opened up rapid testing for direct care providers. So we've sent about 3 or 4 of our staff to the rapid testing site. If they came into contact, we had one who flew to Texas to pick up one of our students. So we sent them for testing, and that's been helpful that the Department of Children and Families has worked with us. We get a lot of guidance from them. We've developed pretty strong relationships with them, New York, and our Department of Public Health. If Jeff were here, he's probably in the mental health Zoom, but he would tell you that you know, he worked hard to develop that relationship with Department of Public Health because they are very strict.
Yeah.
And it took us a good 3 weeks, I think, to get our students back.
We have a health center on our campus, and she's been working with our health department in Fulton. So, and we've gotten some guidance there as well.
Yeah. And Jeff, our student health director, Jeff calls her the general because she lays down the law. That's it. You know? So when she says go, and many times his emails will say, well, we have to see what the general says. And but she's kept us safe and she's kept us healthy, so I'm grateful to her. So, and I think there's another meeting Jeff is going to be leading. I don't know if it's next week or the week after. Oh, there he is.
I'm here.
We were talking about your general.
Yeah. So in 2 weeks, I will be leading a meeting related to recovery and reopening of schools and what all that will look like and how to bring people back in, what classroom setup should be arranged like, and so forth. So I'm going to hold on that until that meeting happens in a week. Now, I am curious, how many of you all here in this meeting, I know we have state schools and private schools, but I know some classes have remained open, but do you have any other assets or staff that seem to not have a lot of work to do? And what are you doing to keep them busy and get hours documented for them? I'm just curious.
Yep. Barbara?
We have cooks that, of course, with no students there, we don't provide meals, but they have been going on to websites to learn more about healthy meals, healthy facilities, and we've got a work log that they have to fill out and provide information of what they've been doing. We don't have a lot of LinkedIn trainings for our cooks, but there's so many shows on TV that they're trying to stay busy that way until their summer break starts, which will be in a couple weeks. I got a new puppy. Sorry, he's biting my shoe. So,
Leanne, did you have something?
I was just going to add, most of our people are off campus. We have essential services here like accounting, the business office, HR is here, facilities like groundskeeping and maintenance, they're all starting to come back slowly.
Mm-hmm.
All of the teachers are doing online instruction. None of our students are here.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Julie. Hi, Julie.
Yes.
You're
muted.
So sorry, I couldn't sign. We're at New York School for the Deaf. We are obviously a hotspot, unfortunately. But we have been closed since March 12th was our last day. And we only have about 100 staff members in full. And we have teacher aides, for example, who really don't have much to do at home. Our governor has instructed all of us to continue paying all staff as usual. So we are doing that, but in terms of our teacher aides, we just have them reach out to some of the families that they're familiar with. Our front desk receptionist, for example, we're asking her to help the business office in placing orders, orders for different, supplies and things of that nature to help support the business office. But not the only people allowed on campus in New York are the maintenance team members, the grounds crew. No one else is allowed on campus ever since this all began. So
we have. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah. So I'm from Rochester, New York. Very same to what Julie was saying. Our staff, the only staff we have on campus is security. That is it. Keeping in mind that they do some maintenance work as well, cutting the grass, keeping the campus clean for us to come back to. Security is cutting the grass? Yeah, it's a riding lawnmower, so fairly simple to use. So no one's there on campus, so during the day they may do that. Some of our business administration, such as me, accountants, will every now and then show up on campus, maybe once every 2 weeks to just maintain operations. We did have some funding, some grants that should be coming soon for our facilities. So we may be opening up to doing some facility work while it's empty and no one's on campus. In terms of our teachers' aides, they're continuing to work remotely. Teachers obviously are, and the teachers' aides are doing more of the one-on-one type of support, doing more expansion videos in ASL for our students and staff. We're encouraging teachers and staff to take ASL classes remotely. If you're not using it, you may lose it. And so during this time of closure, we're trying to provide support in ASL classes for our teachers and staff and other individuals. Our housekeeping, custodial crew, trying to provide some professional development during this time as well. That's the basis of what we're doing now.
We actually set up something very similar with some of our administrative assistants and our TAs who are sign language teachers. So what we did was we asked them to flex hours. So if they would normally work a 35-hour work week, we said, okay, we'll do 25 and do 10 maybe in the evenings. So we provide sign language to staff and parents. We really are trying to reach out to the parents because now that the parents are home with their children, communication can be a real barrier. So, we're offering all free sign language classes and they're taking advantage of that. It's really nice.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So one of our challenges is with the parents. Our principals and administration have contacted parents and they've said, we are too overwhelmed at this time too much going on at home. They just don't have time for learning, and they should. I do agree with you that this is an optimal time to teach those parents, but we also want to be sensitive to their home situations. And some parents have multiple kids in their home, and they're trying to take care of 2-3 kids and all the different schools that they attend and the schoolwork. And so we want families to participate. So we are waiting for some reduction in just the overwhelming workload and stress on parents before we tackle that. Right now, we're struggling with the parental involvement for ASL classes. So I definitely get that.
Yeah, and it's so much more difficult because now with the possibility of no camps, you know, I mean, I mean, my baby's 29, so I don't have to worry about camp, but I can't even imagine when you've been home, you know, doing this and being put into a situation where you're acting as teacher and you're, you know, 24/7, and then all the summer comes and now there's no camp. And I mean, it's just, it's really difficult. It's really quite a situation. Because we have Isola Bella. We're not even sure yet. We haven't received any guidance on, you know, what we can do with our kids.
We don't know about summer school yet for New York, but Mayor de Blasio of New York City mayor has just recently announced this morning that he's not going to have a in the building summer school program. So, you know, we're just 25 minutes north of New York City. So we do have to wait for Governor Cuomo to make the announcement, but I'm 95% sure we're not going to have in the building summer school. I think we're going to have to continue the distance learning for sure.
Yeah, it seems to be going that way for everybody. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You know, but some of the challenges, it is challenging, but I was told that a lot of people are unwilling or do not want to have remote learning throughout the summer. Parents are not wanting that. They feel like it's summertime. They want to take advantage of beautiful weather outside and not want their kids to stay inside and have to learn. And so we probably, if it's required to do remotely, we probably will not continue to offer for summer education. We then have to be prepared for any regression that may happen for our students and some instructional gaps. You know, we do have extended school year services, but I think that that's going to be a challenge for us right now. And, you know, we're going to have to wait until the governor announces some things next week and what that's going to look like, what the schedule will be like, where it will be hosted, all of that, and the logistics. So, Anthony, what are you doing about meeting the IEP goals of your students? How are you addressing that if you're not going to have summer schools? So we're not going to fully close, but parents will then pull out their students. So we legally cannot close. We are mandated to offer that, but many parents will not opt for it. Oh, okay, gotcha. I have a question for the HR people here in the meeting. I know that this is a big headache. How big has that headache been during COVID-19? You know, most of our individuals just aren't aware of, you know, maybe what's going to be happening later on down the road. And I think there's so many questions of when are we going to be coming back? What is the setup and format going to look like? How are our residential students going to be coming back on campus while maintaining social distancing? You know, like Patricia was mentioning, our school, because we are a school and a residential treatment program, we have 33 students on campus. We have worked out with the Department of Public Health that when we bring students back to campus, all of them must stay in a quarantine dorm for 14 days. Until after 14 days, they are able to be mainstreamed back into a regular dorm, regular class. And so we will slowly be doing that, increasing our students coming back to campus. However, if they are injured or sick and they go back home for any reason, and then they come back to campus, they are in quarantine for 14 days again. So that is a huge headache for us at times. However, that is the Department of Public Health guidelines and rules. So I'm just very curious as to what y'all are doing, and if you are working closely with your public health department in this effort. Find your local person at that department and make sure to open up a dialogue with them. That way, if anything were to arise, you can contact them to get best guidance, as opposed to making a decision and then all of a sudden something going wrong, you make news headlines. We want to make sure that it's just easy to have open dialogue with that Department of Public Health so that we can then make sure that the finger is pointed at that department as opposed to us.
You probably missed it before, but I was telling everybody that you worked very hard to develop that relationship with the Department of Public Health in the beginning, because in the beginning, I mean, they were very, very strict, and Jeff really, you know, Jeff and our director of CEASD, he worked hard, I mean, really hard, and he's developed a really good relationship now. Because in the beginning, it was tough. Oh my gosh, worrying about getting the kids back, and yeah. I have a question. Does anybody have a union?
Yeah, basically, it's all about developing that trust. Right. You know, that trust rapport. Oh, that deaf man, wow, he knows how to, you know, bring students back in. And so it's a slow dialogue showing I can develop these policies and procedures in accordance to guidelines. You know, we have these things, we have the separate building. So it's doing these things, which in effect develop that trust, increasing student population by slow amounts, and you develop that rapport with the department when they see those efforts.
So Julie, how's your union been handling this?
That's funny. That was going to be my next question. Who else is unionized? Yeah, it's you know, it's fun. You know, we are working with our legal counsel right now. We actually have a meeting on Thursday. It's taken 10 weeks at this point, but to put an MOA together to try and figure out, you know, some of the really tiny little things in our collective bargaining agreement that we need to hold off on or be flexible with, or, you know, those kinds of things. So we are waiving completely all observations and evaluations for this end of year. I don't know if anybody else is doing that as well, but we are waiving those for this year, and we're not counting that against any probationary staff members. You know, it's only a few months really, so we're just going to continue on with that, but it's okay.
Right. So we have two unions here. So one is our teachers union, and I will say that since this started, they've been great. They have risen to the challenge of online learning, and I think they've done a fabulous job. Actually, last week they set up an entire parade of cars for our PACE students, and they drove through campus, and it was wonderful. So they are really committed to learning and to helping the kids. Our residential counselor union, those are our union that work directly with the students, with our PACE students. They are our essential staff. We get a little pushback from them because they, you know, we gave them hazard pay actually up until this week, and we're now pulling back on it because the governor has opened up some areas and things are calming down. So they're not happy about that. They also feel that if they're on campus, why isn't everybody on campus? And, you know, so we're trying, you know, we're working with them, but it's, you know, it gets sticky. I mean, you know, you can give $3 an hour, they want $5. You give $5, they want $7. The nature of unions. They also want, you know, they feel that if they're in the virtual classroom, that they should be treated as moving up, like as a teacher. We're like, no, your assistant. But so those kind of things, small sticky things, but we're getting through. I was just enjoying, and next year is a negotiating year, so that's going to be fun. Tony.
So we have teachers union. That's our one union here. And before March 16th, 17th, around that time when we were mandated to close, we were fortunate because before that, we already had a committee established to really hone in on preparation. And the union and I, already were in discussions and agreements. We had developed the MOU before the closure happened. And so in terms of time and expectation of teaching the hours, the 8 to 4 scheduling, teacher evaluations have been suspended, will not be used during this time of closure. We have extended evaluations for 2 years. Instead of entirely canceling, we already had an evaluation in the fall, and we've agreed to extend the evaluation for a 2-year time frame as opposed to a 1 year, so that we wouldn't have to start the entire process all over again. In all honesty, our teachers have been great. Many teachers are going above and beyond expectations. We have a few that are doing their minimum required, and that's to be expected. But when situations arise, the union felt like they could make some decisions. So for example, back in April, close to spring break, before the governor announced all are required to work remotely or not, the union had already given a heads up to their teachers, making sure that they were aware they did not have to work during spring break. I found out later that the governor then announced that everyone is required to work. And so that caused confusion amongst the staff with mixed messages. Is the union message correct, or what the school is saying based on the governor's decision? And so we have to make sure that we're being proactive going forward, that we have the information. And so we put some things on hold. There are those, little tiny things that cause some staff confusion, but for the most part, everything has been pretty smoothly working.
Yeah, one of the things that we did in the beginning is when we decided to close for the first 2 weeks, March, I think it was March 16th. So what we did at that point was we took our spring break that was scheduled at the end of March and we moved it up. So it was one of those 2 weeks. So this way, of those 2 weeks, there was only one closure and the next week nobody had to work. And what we did with that week, while the teachers and TAs were off, we used that week to develop the plans, to get it going, and then the next week we took the first 2 days and did professional development, got them on board, got Chromebooks sent to the homes and things like that. So we were lucky in that respect. So in reality, our school has only lost those first 5 days. So it was one of those things that we just decided to do, and we were really happy we did it after. So, and we're not in New York, so I know that they had different rules, but we have so many New York kids. So it's like, it's been interesting. It's been a very interesting time.
Yes, it has.
Is there any, I don't know what else, I think we've covered almost everything, right? Unions, that was my, so Barbara, I'll send you that electronic form. I'll get that to you if anybody wants it for screening. I imagine when you open up again, you'll probably do some kind of screening, right? I mean, I don't know if New York is going online in the fall or if they're opening up. I mean, we don't know yet.
We do open, we do have a plan because we go and pick up our students from across the state of Missouri, that they will be, their temperature will be checked. And if they have anything over 100.4, whatever it is, they will not be allowed to get on the bus. But then when they do come to the school, we're still working on how we're going to do that. And I like that you have a quarantine dorm. So I might suggest that to our superintendent.
It's a great idea. I mean, our kids and the kids have been really cooperative. So right now, we have two, because we had one of our girls was sent out to the hospital the other night. So now she's back and she's quarantined alone, but we have a small cottage and she's in there. But the dorm on the back of campus, I think we have 6 students because they all came back at the same time. And it's great because the food is delivered, and the nurses go to them for meds, and food's delivered, and they have all their technology is there. So they're not missing out on anything. And also if they go out, they can go out in that area as long as they stay away from the other students. And we ask them to wear masks. It's very hard for students to wear masks.
It's hard for me.
Very good. Yeah, I mean, it's like, I mean, I got mine over here, and it's like, but our staff are pretty good, because our risk is not our students, because our students haven't gone anywhere. Once they finish the quarantine, they don't leave campus right now. Our risk is our staff, and where are they coming from? Did they leave state over the weekend? I mean, we're in Connecticut, right? So we're 2 hours to New York, we're 2 hours to Boston, we're 2 hours to Rhode Island, we're 2 hours to Vermont. So I mean, once the states start opening up again, and now our staff travel, then we have to say, wow, where are they coming from? Have they been exposed? We don't know. I mean, so that's where I think we have to really start looking to see what happens. Because right now they're not really going anywhere. They're going home, they're going to work. So, but
I think the struggle also will be, come fall or whenever we do return, we have children coming from 40 different school districts, all in New York State, but including the 5 boroughs. The 5 boroughs of New York City, obviously, have been the hardest hit in the country. So we have multiple children's families. I have about 20% of my staff have either had COVID or have COVID. We have staff members who have had deaths in their family. It's really hit us pretty hard when we only have 100 staff members and 145 kids.
wow.
So that's certainly been an kind of an internal struggle, putting aside all the laws and all the unions and
right.
all other stuff. That's been pretty hard. I have a staff member whose entire family had it. Her husband, her 2 kids, her grown children, college age kids. Just as an example, but it's been extra hard, I think, for that reason. I like a lot of the things that you're doing for staff appreciation. We don't have anybody on campus, but I've been sending out emails, just me personally. So we only have 100 staff. So I've sent 100 emails every few weeks, just saying, hey, how are you doing? I know that your, family member had tested positive. How are they? I've tried to make it very personal. Trying to think, if I was on the other, in their shoes, what would I like to, receive from my HR department,
You're absolutely right, Julie. And I can't tell you what we did with our staff appreciation and, writing a little note. There were 280 staff, and there are 7 of us on the executive leadership team. So what I did was I did a staff list, and I took our 7 names and I just copied and pasted all the way down the list. So everybody had a driver, everybody had some RCs, everybody had a teacher. So all of us had a very diverse group, and we wrote handwritten notes. And, I think we got so much feedback about that, that we, they're like, oh my God, you took time out of your day to write me a note. And we tried to, if the staff, I had some RCs who worked on the weekend. I said, oh gosh, you're our weekend warrior, things like that. So they know that we're not just writing a boilerplate thank you note, but so even the people who are working from home, they get something like that. And I mean, like I said, these little bags, I mean, there was a marker in it, like a little bag of candy, I mean, it wasn't anything much, but they loved it.
Yeah.
And I think that, it really went a long way. So I highly recommend, if you do something, do handwritten notes. it's really effective and
Yeah.
helpful.
I did that. So I try not to, so over the holidays, I try not to do, you know, Christmas cards or, you know, something very religious related. So I do New Year's cards, and I actually write New Year's cards to each of them, of my staff members, and hand it to them. Or I typically put it in their mailbox at school the first day we're back from holiday break. And to your point, the handwritten note, it's so, you know, 40 years ago that people are unexpectedly appreciating that. So I love that you guys did that. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was, and you know, it was fun. It was a lot of fun. And our administrative assistants who don't really have a lot to do, I asked them to come in on Friday, and I set up our auditorium with tables 6 feet apart. So each AA was at their own table, and we had all of the goodies, like we had little stress balls, little markers, and bags. And I ordered pizza, and the 6 AAs just put these bags together for us, and they had the best time. And it was just a break in the, like you said, in how many deaths and how many have COVID and what's going on, and the state of the government and the big government, and, you know, it was nice. It was really nice. And they said, oh, please come up with more projects. I was like, okay, I'll try. I don't know, but it was good. I think they just miss people. Yeah. So I don't know. Do you guys do a lot of Zoom meetings? And because
yeah, we do.
Yes,
We do a lot of
yes.
WebEx, but we're under DESE HR, so we've been meeting a lot with our HR core for the Department of Education. I did want to say to Julie, you know, HR people, we have to give this persona that we know what we're talking about. We are giving you the best guidance we can, when in reality, this has been such a stressful time. And I can't imagine everything you went through. We haven't had a case at MSD. It's a very small town. We do have a college, and they had quite a few cases because students were bringing it to the college in Fulton. But our superintendent recognizes the flexibility of his staff, and he did a really nice appreciation thank you note to all staff, and tucked in there a little something for them, and it means the world. It really does.
Yeah,
so.
I agree.
yeah, Julie, that's quite a percentage of staff.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I think we
must have
had
been hard.
I think it was 18 out of my 100, 18 staff affected. That doesn't include family members. You know, like I said, I had one whose whole family, actually, I think there were 2 whose whole family had it. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it's just spreads like wildfire.
It did. I mean, I'm in Connecticut, and my family's from New York, and you know, my sister, I think I said, works at Lexington along with my brother and my brother-in-law. So it's a little family thing going on there. But one of I come from 7, and 2 of my brothers got it, but they were asymptomatic, so we were very lucky. Yeah. Very lucky. One works at AABR in New York. I don't know if Julie, you might know it, but it's for adult residents and with disabilities. And they had a rash. They had an outbreak there. So when he got it, we were also worried, but he was asymptomatic. So I mean, I feel blessed. But when you hear stories about so many people coming down, and you know that they're all not asymptomatic. I mean, some of these people are really suffering, and it's awful. Yeah, it's really awful. And you're right. We don't know, you know, we don't always know what to say, because what you say on a Monday is not going to be what you say on a Tuesday. It just hasn't been that way for a long time. Yeah. So, but anyway, you know, if anybody has ideas, you know, we could always email, and or if anybody needs anything, you know, certainly reach out. You know. I like coming to the office, to be honest. I miss the office. So
I would like to be in the office as well.
Yeah, it gets, I mean, my husband works from home, so it's like I do about 2 days, and then I'm like, okay, I'm coming to work.
Well, my husband works in a hospital, and I have a 2- and 4-year-old. So.
Oh, wow. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Ouch.
I really appreciate you doing this, because I always doubt if I'm doing the right thing, and everything you shared, I think we're kind of following the same path. So it's been very helpful to me.
Oh,
Little
good. I'm
HR girl in
glad.
a little town.
Yeah, I know. It's funny because I laughed because when Jeff said, oh, I said, he said, oh, you're going to present. And I was like, oh, okay. So then he said, I said, well, what's the topic? He said, COVID. I was like, I don't know if you could be more broad, like what do you talk about? I mean, it's such a large topic and, and HR related. Well, HR is in everything. So, it's not just necessarily COVID related to HR because it hits academics and HR.
Are you making fun of me, Patricia? Are you making fun of me?
It's so funny. No, I'm not. I would never make fun of you. But it's a large topic, and HR really touches every department. So it's not where you say, okay, well, that's not my job or that's not my area, because it does eventually come back to HR. So this time has been a really busy time for HR departments, getting the policies in place and procedures changing and people getting sick and family leave and all that, and even academics and people who are feeling anxious. It all comes around again and runs through the HR department. So, you may not have a lot of people in your department. I only have 3 other people that work with me, but I mean, everybody does a great job. But when you look at the whole staff, there's always somebody calling, oh, I don't know, call HR. I don't know, call HR. I mean,
So true.
Right? I mean, it happens all the time. I'm like, wait a minute. So, but I'm lucky. I mean, I think, I feel lucky to be here. I feel lucky to work with Jeff. And I've been here about 7 years and a couple of months. So went by fast.
Yeah, I'm a year away from retiring, so I was so glad to have this at the end of my run. But working with George Staley has been a true blessing. He's amazing. He really loves his staff and the students, of course. But
that's great. I mean, when you have an executive director or superintendent, I mean, when I came on, Jeff was an assistant, and he became the executive director the following year. And I couldn't think of going anywhere else. So, and he's probably talking mental health, so he doesn't have to hear me praising him. But he's great. He's great to work with. He's open to ideas. He has a lot of faith in his team. He doesn't, he's really open to everybody talking. We have really great discussions. He doesn't hold anybody back. He accepts feedback. It's been great working with him. I mean, he has, we always say, everybody has their own strengths, so we're all his right arms, finance and HR and his PACES program, his residential program, and IA, our marketing department. We meet every week, and and he can go and he can do his thing, and if he has to market and he has to leave, he knows that our director of education, that we're here and he doesn't have to worry. So, when you have that kind of a leader, it's great. So you're lucky, Yeah. But I know I have a sister-in-law who's retiring in June. She said she can't wait now. She doesn't want to do any more of the online, so I don't blame her. So I guess that's it for now. I mean, I don't know if Jeff wants to come back in and say goodbye. There
Could
he
I
is.
also, could I also get a copy of your slideshow?
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
Did you miss me talking so nice about you?
Yes, I saw all of the things you said. Thank you. Just to let everyone know, I am running 2 Zooms at the same time, the mental health workshop and this one. I do want to make sure that any other individuals that participated today, if you have any questions or any general comments related to HR and COVID-19 issues, please take this time to make those comments and questions. I want to make sure that everyone has their needs met before we close this up. Patricia, also, I'm sure you would say you're available for people to reach out to.
Sure, I'll put it in the chat
and
right
then
now.
Barbara Raimondo. Barbara Raimondo has also sent out CEASD COVID-19 resources, so you can contact them directly to ask any questions. All right, well, I am assuming no one else has popped up on screen, so I just want to thank you again, Patricia. As always, you are an amazing person. My life is easier because you help take care of all of the issues. So everyone stay safe, stay healthy. I know it's going to be a long journey through all of this, but I know that we can do it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.